One of the oldest student organizations in the University of the Philippines, the UP Student Catholic Action at 85 years has borne witness to times of poverty and prosperity, of war and of peace, and continues to do so. Springing as a branch of the Student Catholic Action in the Scholastic Philosophy Club, the organization, better known as UPSCA, was founded by Father Edward McCarthy, a Columban priest, in 1936. It became a student organization that served as a forum to discuss philosophy and theology. The newly found UPSCA, with its roots firmly planted in these organizations, was formally recognized and approved as a chapter of the Manila Archdiocesan Students Catholic Action by then Manila Archbishop Michael O. Doherty. On December 8, 1941, the perils of World War II reached the Philippines. The initiatives and programs of UPSCA were then put on hold. After the war ended in 1945, UPSCA rallied on and was among the first student Catholic Action chapters in Manila to be reorganized amidst post-war reconstruction. Invited to assist in these restoration efforts was Father John P. Delaney, a British Jesuit who founded the Institute for Social Order in America and the Family Renewal Movement. Father Delaney's first post-war assignment in the Philippines was in 1946, when he was appointed as Dean of Studies and Disciplines at the Ateneo de Manila University. In 1948, the UP administration transferred from Padre Faura to Diliman, Quezon City. It was quite a distance away from the residences of most of its students and faculty. Despite the move, Father Delaney still served as the organization's spiritual advisor in 1949. He was instrumental in the revival of UPSCA along with Professor Angel Martinez and the 23 active members of the organization at that time. The first UPSCA constitution was drafted from 1947 to 1949. It was then approved by the University Council Committee on Student Organizations and the Archdiocese of Manila.
With much of the campus still under construction, a bamboo chapel was put up for use by Catholics, Aglipayans, and Protestants. The bamboo chapel became home to Father Delaney and the UPSCA community, where it fostered camaraderie and self-sacrifice. By the early 1950s, the chapel began to deteriorate. It became evident that a new church would be needed. The Catholic and Protestant communities from here on out would worship in separate places. Father Delaney and UPSCA spearheaded efforts to raise the needed money. Soon, the UP community became involved too. Father Delaney conceptualized the chapel and entrusted the creative work to young, talented individuals. The resulting church was an iconic building and an engineering marvel for the country when it was first built because of its thin shell concrete dome and unique design. To date, it's the only structure in the country where the works of 5 national artists can be found. After a decade of work in the Philippines, Father Delaney passed away from a stroke on January 12, 1956, marking the end of the Delaney era. Father Delaney's legacy would, however, live on in the hearts and minds of UPSCans and with the UP community at large. On June 22, 1956, UPSCA took full control of USC, defeating Upsilon from top post to minor posts. Fernando Lagua became the first UPSCAN USC chairperson. Due to UPSCA domination of the USC, UP President Vicente V issued Administrative Circular No. 1, which limited the representation of any student organization to one representative only in each of the student councils. During the 60s, UPSCA became one of the biggest organizations in the university. Its newsletter, the UPSCA Newsletter, rivaled the Philippine Collegian in terms of readership despite being primarily for UPSCans. It was also during the era that the growing influence of the radical left was being felt inside the campus due to the presidency of Ferdinand Marcos. UPSCA became the rallying point for all the groups that disagreed with the radical left movement and was able to win some positions in the USC. Different UPSCA chapters also thrived during the time. There were chapters in UP Manila and Los Baños as well as in the different colleges in UP. In 1967, as martial law was impending, UPSCans found refuge under the Leña Hall.
When the country was under the Marcos dictatorship, UP became a bastion of student activism. Despite the suspension of most organizations, UPSCA remained running under the blessing of Archbishop Jaime Cardinal Sin. During the 1978 student elections, UPSCA was one of the organizations that formed the student party sa masa, sandigan ng mag-aaral at sambayanan. However, UPSCA broke away from the student body as it geared towards patronizing armed resistance. UPSCA believed that there were other forms of defiance aside from brute force, such as active non-violence, which was even more radical. In pursuit of UPSCA's commitment to societal development and moral preservation through active non-violence, the organization answered the call of the times and participated in the first People Power Revolution of EDSA.
Yung makatao, makabayan, makadiyos. And we had one poster. It was only the raised clenched fist with the chain. Walang pangalan ng partido, walang pangalan ng kahit sino. Nakalagay lang dun, makadiyos. And that was a very, very powerful poster against all of the posters, the red and black and everything. And it was so powerful, it propelled. And finally, after 4 years of losing every year, Chito Gascon became the first USC chairman, bearing those slogans. Just to show you how earth-shaking that event was, that came out in an editorial in Inquirer. And then later on, the presidential candidate against Marcos visited UP, Cory Aquino. The moderate forces wanted to learn from us, actually. How could a moderately, quote-unquote, organization beat a predominantly NDF-backed student organization? The point of view before was the youth is at the tip of the spear of the revolutionary movement. And at the tip of that spear is UP. Because whatever UP does will be followed down the line. And I've always been saying that even as a student, alam mo, ang ginagawa natin dito is a reflection of our participation in university life. But it has great implications. And the implication then was proven. Cory adopted makatao, makabayan, makadiyos. So many people na naging slogan yan. And in the preamble of our 1987 Constitution, you read it again. What is the vision for our country? It is a society founded on the basis of truth, justice, freedom, and love. Isn't that familiar? Kasi we just ripped it off from UPSCA.
Amidst the chaos brought about by the Marcos regime, UPSCA did not fail to evolve as an organization. It was during the 1970s that barrio work began. UPSCans were integrated with the plight of rural farmers and their families, which led to reflections on the self and society, new perspectives in faith formation, and social change. Originally just a Thanksgiving for the year, the annual tradition of Papuri was started in the 1980s as a way for the new members to showcase their talents.
During the 43rd anniversary of the first parish mass, a bronze bust of Father Leña was unveiled. The bust, sculpted by Napoleon Abueva, still stands in the Garden of Communion in front of the Ugnayang Bayan. 1998 SCA Philippines started to consolidate and to strengthen as a national movement. A year later, SCAP organized the Chaplain and Animators Formation Exchange Workshop, which aimed to arrive at clarity of vision and unity of direction among SCA units. On March 22, 1999, UPSCA ratified a new constitution. Stated herewith were the organization's revised program committees: Academics Committee, Dulaang Delaney, Himig Delaney, Liturgical Committee, National and University Affairs Bureau, Print Media Bureau, Student Catholic Action Relations Bureau, and the Special Services Guild. An emphasis for UPSCA in the 90s was the barrio work. The org went to Tiaong, Quezon, Calawis, Rizal, Banahaw, Quezon, Zambales, Payatas, and Montalban. On January 20, 2001, President Estrada was ousted by yet another people power revolution, EDSA II. UPSCAN participation wasn't featured in the media. The UPSCA logo was even embedded at the back of the old 200 peso bill commissioned by the instated President Gloria Macababbad Arroyo. In 2004, the 1999 UPSCA Constitution was revised. Through the revisions, the formation's director for members and applicants became two separate roles. 2006 marked the 50th anniversary of Father Delaney. In the same year, the UP Parish of the Holy Sacrifice was declared a National Historical Landmark by the National Historical Institute.
In 2011, UPSCA celebrated its 75th anniversary by holding a grand alumni homecoming in the Delaney Hall, where exhibits about the 75 years of UPSCA were placed. To answer the call of the times, another revision of the UPSCA Constitution was done in 2016. The ratified Constitution clarified officers' roles and added provisions for the creation of ad hoc teams. In academic year 2019 to 2020, UPSCA continued to hone its members into leaders and to form the aspiring UPSCans while conforming with the traditions that the alumni laid down. Himig Delaney, the UPSCA choir, was singing songs every Friday in the UP Parish of the Holy Sacrifice. The Social Cultural Committee went on with its tradition of Friday night games, and the Academics Committee with its weekly educational discussions. UPSCA attended the Lantern Parade along with the other Compass ministries. The annual No Please was celebrated on the day of St. Valentine. Then,
Panalo na tayo! We beat the UP prediction in July.
Even with the world shifting indoors due to the global pandemic, UPSCA kept its doors open to aspiring UPSCans. Cells were met in Zoom, meetings were held in Google Meet, EDs were done in Discord. For the first time in its history, UPSCA applicants underwent the application process virtually. Now, in the academic year 2020 to 2021, UPSCA is composed of 47 members from 2 UP constituent units, UP Diliman and UP Manila. The organization is also trying to rebuild its chapters in other UP campuses. In April 2021, UPSCA thanks our Lord for its 85 years with the month-long anniversary celebration Pagdilima, patuloy na pagtugon sa hamon ng pananampalatayang mapagpalaya. Forming a truly Filipino Christian community is a lifelong mission. The UP Student Catholic Action Diliman aspires to fulfill this mission even amid a global pandemic. Embracing the online organizational setup has been a challenge, but through grace, UP Student Catholic Action continues to manifest the relevance of faith in societal action.